Okay, so another concept, which is the DNS, very important. So when you will type www.jobskillshare.org, you are familiar with this name, but your computer not. Because we know the computer always know the language of IPs. So this is how DNS comes handy. It will resolve from name to IP. But why? Because the next time if you are going to search again jobskillshare.org, it is not going to resolve the same IP because it is already have this information.
It's going to cache it, right?
Exactly this. So the first thing it's gonna do when you will type www.jobskillshare.org, it is going to search into its host file, which is located in C, Windows, System 32, and then /etc folder. Inside this folder, you will see this host file. You can right click and open it as a notepad, and then you can see we have multiple the addresses that is mapping with the name. As you can see, the host files is a local file available as a part of an operating system and used to map IP addresses corresponding to the domain names. But for this host, this is not automatically or going to populate it, these information. You have to manually type. Like for let's say you will type www.jobskillshare.org here, and you can correspond it with the public IP. Let's say 67.5 or something.
Yeah,
So
and
next
I'll give you another
Yeah.
example of this host file in a real world environment. Look, if you're going to jobskillshare.org right now, you're going to go to a production IP that is running on, right? What if I have a second jobskillshare.org a server that we are actually using it for testing purpose, but I want to use the same domain. I want to use everything the same way, right? So what would I do? I would basically come to this file and I will use the second IP of that server, meaning like whatever public IP address, or it could be a private IP address in the same network. And I could just associate that IP with the JobSkill share. So on this machine, if I type it again now, what will happen? It's going to go to the second server where it has a new code or whatever I want to test it, right? We use this. And to be honest, this is a very common thing for sysadmins or systems engineers. They usually do this kind of stuff all the time, or developers.
Question: if you're doing flush DNS, are you clearing it from here?
No,
from this
it won't
file?
be. This is kind of like saved in this file.
Got it.
Okay, so there is another troubleshoot tooltip. Basically, have you ever come across with this issue? Let's suppose you are typing from web browser www.jobskillshare.org. You cannot see the web page in the browser. It is basically saying we couldn't find this website. But then you can come to the command prompt, CMD command prompt, and then you just ping the IP for that jobskillshare.org, and it is giving me reply. Have you ever come across with this issue?
Yes.
So that is basically related with the DNS issues. So the solution for that, first try to do ipconfig/flush DNS. If it is resolved, then it's good. If it isn't, then it means the problem is with your access point cache. Then you need to either restart or just there is a reset button. If you are familiar with the configuration, then you can take this risk by just pressing the reset button. And after that, this problem will be solved.
Yeah, normal home routers, you don't get that kind of like you can't just flush something in there. You have to reset it. Usually that's kind of like the fix for most of these issues,
Yeah, and sometimes this problem is also can be solved by just changing or hard coding the DNS the IP information. Okay.
Got it.
So the second stage is if the host file or your computer machine does not have information about some particular website, let's say jobskillshare.org, the host machine does not have information. The second thing it is going to ask from the router, because the router also has some kind of DNS cache. And if the router has information, it is going to directly give you a reply for that. So what in case if even the router does not have this information?
It goes to,
Mhm.
I think it's it goes, I know it goes out to like a server or the closest
Okay,
domain name
yes,
server.
it will go to the server, yeah. The Crystal, if you have any answer or something.
I can add that it go to the resolver who have
Exactly,
a
yes.
link.
The resolver, it will go to the resolver, and then resolver will take care of everything, which is I'm going to cover in the next slide. So I'm taking the example of jobshare.org, which is also known as FQDN, fully qualified domain name. If I'll go a little more in detail of this concept for the DNS domain name, as we have seen that host computer does not have information, then the router does not have any information. Then what is going to happen? When you will type www.jobskillshare.org, every URL has the dot at the end, which is invisible, which is basically pointing out to the root server. So we are sending our request to root server and we are looking for this information, the IP for this one. Now the root server is intelligent enough, it will check the last portion of your website, and it will send to the TLD, which is known as the top level domain. So can you tell me in this case, jobskillshare.org, what is our top level domain?
.org.
Yes, exactly. It will not send here .com and .net because this is on org TLD, this thing. So after that, the org is nothing but a server. It's a hardware appliance, maybe sitting somewhere far away. Then it has these archives or the catalogs or the files. It will go through and will search specifically for the job skill share. So let's say it find job skill share and it will send me to the sub-level domain, which is nothing but the hosting server. Of course, this website is sitting somewhere. It has some contents that is located somewhere, which is this hosting machine. So at this stage, it has a kind of public IP or the IP that is being used to access job skill share. So it is gonna send back the same information to my host machine, and which I'm going to show you as animation. There you will get the better idea. And these things are called leaves. So these all WW things are known as the leaves. So if I take you to the next slide, just to stop, that's why I'm using this right click. So here we have normal DNS resolution. This is a host machine looking for job skill org. This is a resolver which has no idea what job skill org public IP address is. So we know that the first thing it's going to do is send to the root server. Root server will look for the last three, the after dot, which is saying, which is talking about the top level domain, which is saying that you have to go to the org server. So what will happen next? As you can see, yeah. So it sent back to the resolver, you need to go to the org server. So it went to the org server.
So it's kind of like it's filtering it first by
Yes.
.org, and then it's gonna look for like.
Exactly,
Gotcha.
exactly.
Okay, cool.
Then next step is the org server will find out this is job skill share server. So you need to go back to the job skill share server because that is having the public IP 104.223.9.197.100. So after that, now it will, the public IP has been resolved and it will be given to the host machine. Now at this point, so this is the whole idea of, giving you information one by one, that now this time the host machine does not need to go to the server machine, root server org, because now it has the public IP of job skill share. So the last step,
and at this
yeah.
and at this point, because now it has that information, and if you guys go back to my example before, this is where the caching started, right? Because now it knows about the IP, it knows about the content and stuff like that. And if I was to change my IP address right now, my .org probably would need to be updated as well. Like that's something that automatically gets updated. You don't go there to the authoritative DNS servers and you do this. So you don't do that, right? This is something that you tell your providers or DNS providers or wherever is your site hosted, they will have some kind of name resolutions type of fields where you have to put that. Okay, this is my new DNS server. This is my new IP address, and I want you to update it. So it takes about what, Kamran, 24 hours, right? For it to work, but sometimes it's very quick. Usually they say 24 hours. I had a user come back to me, say, you're changing this stuff. Can you make sure it happens in 15 minutes? You know what I said in response? I say, no, it's going to take 24 hours because I'm not going to give an answer of 10 minutes while the internet is telling me 24 hours, even though it happened in 5 minutes, to be honest. But that's where you learn these little things, so then it will help you in future, because this process is going to tell you how you're going to respond to a user in the future as an engineer. Okay.
Yeah. So at this stage means the host machine has resolved the IP address, which is correlated to job skill share. Next time it will go directly. So when it comes to DNS, we have some terminologies we use like A record. And I'm sure that in your test lab out, you are going to come across with these. If not, you are going to. The A record is nothing, just your IPv4 information. Then we have quad A record. So wherever you see these quad A, just quickly, this thing pop up into your mind that this is talking about the IPv6 addresses. And then we have this CNAME record, and this is also known as canonical name. The chances are that the website you have like jobskillshare.org is your main domain, main name of your domain. Then it could have the subdomains like .carrier, or could have like portals. But your main domain name is this job skill share. Under that, you are creating multiple domains which is known as canonical name. As you can see, record is used in the domain name system to create an alias. This is known as the alias. Then last but not least, which is MX record. As you can see, it is mail exchange record is an entry in your DNS zone file which specify mail server to handle a domain's email. So in your, let's say in a Windows environment, in your server, you will mention with the MX record, hard coded. You will hard code the IP address of your mail exchange server in your environment. So your host machines, those who are looking for exchanging the emails, they have better idea and understanding where to go. So that is the reason we use MX record.
In terms of real world examples towards these records, this is going to be pretty much a very normal tickets for you if you work in an environment where they call you a network engineer, but you do everything. Like you're a one-man shop type of thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
You may be doing like you may be doing all this education towards Cisco and everything, but you may get hired by a small company and they just let you do everything. So why would you need to know this stuff then? Hey, we got this Cisco chat thing going on from Cisco devices. We need to give it a proper name. You can't just give it an IP address, right? No one's going to remember that. Hey, we have this website that people have to reset their phone, passwords because that's a Cisco device, but it has some kind of web interface. So you need to give it some records. Not just that, it could be anything. If you are dealing anything with web servers and you are in charge of that because you're an engineer, then you will be heavily involved in DNS. I can guarantee you on that. But again, this is something I want to tell people that this is more of a systems administration side, even though you need to know everything about it as a network engineer, because sometimes you get into DHCP, sometimes you get into a DNS, you work with systems administrators, you work with other IT technicians, you just get into it and you know this at the basic level and you do your thing so you can make your equipment works, right? Kamran, most likely
Yes.
a network engineer is kind of like quickly going into a DHCP, quickly going into a DNS, and boom, 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 there he's going to change what he wants, and boom, he's going to start to finish his work. But if you were, like I said, that engineer, that you're all one man IT type of thing, then of course this is going to become another piece of it. So I want to remind people that if you're going to have to go to a lot deeper in DNS and web servers and things like that, then that's a systems administration skills, which is also that we are going to cover in this in JSS platform, but maybe not as like hardcore as a sysadmin for network engineering course. Just want to give you a little, heads up on that. Okay.
Thank you, Danish, for the clarification. So let's do a demo. The tool DNS Lookup is a simple but a very practical command line tool, which is principally used to find the IP address that correspond to the host. So we're gonna go through some commands, which are these one. We will go one by one. So can you see the command prompt? Because sometimes it's not visible.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. We can go into the DNS Lookup. I just type the DNS Lookup. So the first thing it find out is this is my default gateway, the router or the access point, whatever you want to name it. And it couldn't resolve the name of this one because maybe there's some kind of some firewall just preventing them to resolve the name. So after that, for example, if I am interested to look for these things for some particular website, let's say job skill share, or I can mention the X company. So you have to first mention what I'm looking for, let's say job skillshare.org. It is going to give me the information in detail. So this is the aliases we talked about, CNAME, and these are all the public IPs the job skillshare is using. These are the IPv6 and these are the IPv4. If we want to go a lot in detail, just let's do this. You have to type set type is equal to CNAME and now do job skillshare.org. So it is going to give me the canonical name of that. Maybe you will be confused if I give you a very clear example. Like we have one website for the, because I'm very fond of cricket. We have Crick Info. We get the information about the cricket scoring, which has you know, the old server. And the name of that one was crickinfo.com. But then they have migrated to another domain name, which is now considered and known as ESPN Crickinfo, crickinfo.com. So in that case, let's see what happens.
Another way, they made a lot of money. They got bought by ESPN.
Yes, exactly. So we are looking for canonical name and just type www.crickinfo.com. So as you can see, they had this name before, but now they own the canonical name, which is ESPN, crickinfo.com.
That's actually really cool to find a little history from a command line, right? That's a nice way to get some history.
Then we talk about set type A, and you are at this time wise enough what in the last slide I talked about what is A, which is nothing but the IPv4 information. So set type is A and do www.jobskillshare.org. It is just going to give me the IPv4 addresses of the public addresses of which correlate with the job skill share. If I am interested in IPv6, then you have to do site type A with the quad A and do the same thing again. Now you are, this time you are going to get the IPv6 addresses. If you are interested to know about the what is the mail exchange server, you can do set type is equal to mmax, and this time I'm going to use my company name, which is janif.com, and if you hit the enter, you will see it is using 2 mail exchange servers.
Now, guys, this is actually very important commands right here. As a network engineer, sometimes you just don't have capability to just open a web browser and then open links or find different type of open free links. You know, we have done that. Many of us actually do this on a normal day-to-day basis, right? We have some set of free links in our favorites, and we go in there, we put all this information, and it returns that information for you, right? But what if you're in an interview and they say, you can use a link. I want you to find an exchange. I want you to find these A records. I want you to do it from a command line, because we don't let you just go to a public website and put our company's information in there, right? Not a lot of companies will like that. If it's a very secure company, they will never let you do that, actually. So knowing this from a command line as an engineer is super important. I'm sure you all have used NS lookup, but even myself, usually we don't go into this kind of details into just NS lookup like that or A records like that, right? So practice is the key right here. You have to kind of find job skill share, some other websites, and try to gather information. How much can I gather from this command line tools? That's going to really help you when you're actually working in an environment that doesn't let you go out too much, you know?
And in the real working environment, I can give you examples with this, which correlate with this thing, type MS. When I was working as a network administrator, we had to give the SMTP address to the Outlook. If you have come across Outlook, you will see there is one section you have to mention the SMTP, the mail exchange server information of your the mail exchange server basically. So how you can get the information? The first thing, either you can, if you have access to the control panel of your website, then you can go and you can find out what is the SMTP address, which is POP10 kind of thing you can see. Or other way, you can just use this command, set type mx, and you can see it is telling me what server is that, which is using basically smtp.asia.secureserver.net. So I can type this thing here, and then this is how I will be able to connect with my email. Then last but not least, this set type is PTR. This is a pointer racket. This is also, you can call it like the reverse DNS lookup. Previously, we are trying to find a IP, okay? But now this time I'm going to give the IP to resolute the name. So what you can do set type is equal to PTR, which is pointer racket, and then let's say you can type 8.8.8, and in return what it gave me, the DNS.google. So this is a pointer racket. Whatever we were doing earlier is just the irreversible of what we were doing before. So with the help of IP, we just resolve the name. Okay. So this lab ends here. If you have any confusion or question, you can ask.
No, that's pretty cool. I think it needs just more practice.
Very cool.
Yeah. So I added another thing, since we are touching DNS. This is known as Cisco Umbrella. And if in the future you are going to become a network security engineer, you will come across with this.
I work with Cisco Umbrella with.
Okay, can you tell me what is it? What is it?
I can't remember exactly, but it's
Okay.
like the.
Yeah.
I
It
can't.
used
Just any
for rain.
guess?
There's a lot of rain, so I just put that Cisco in.
No, it's like a. It's to protect you from like.
Protect you from what?
I can't remember.
Crystal, if you have any idea.
No, I don't.
Okay, then you are going to know. This is called a Cisco Umbrella, and this is the first concept from the Cisco itself. In old days, what we used to have, if I can show you, first of all, what is the definition? Cisco Umbrella is a cloud-driven secure internet gateway that provides protection from the internet-based threats for users wherever they go. As a cloud-delivered service, Umbrella provides the visibility needed to protect internet access across all network devices, office locations, and roaming users. And you are clear enough at this point that most of the people they are not going to the office. Now they are working from home, and most of them they are using cloud services. So the old method was, if I can show you, before we were just putting if I can, the DNS information like the Google 8888. Okay, so this time the Cisco they took one step further, and they introduced the concept of Cisco Umbrella. If I will just give you a simple example of this, that is nothing but you are just going to give the public IP of Cisco Umbrella. And basically what it will do, and I have mentioned here, DNS layer security, secure web gateway, cloud delivered firewall, cloud access security, and interactive threat intelligence. This could be a, sorry,
Can I ask you something?
yeah.
So you can, I know AnyConnect, you can download only the AnyConnect VPN.
Mm-hmm.
If you're using a VPN, then why do you need, I know all of it.
Okay.
I heard you and said it was going to protect
Yes,
from
okay,
all
I
of
got
these
your
things.
idea. I got your idea. VPN is doing nothing but just encrypting your packet.
Okay.
But you cannot protect. What if, let's suppose you are surfing a website, let's say xyz.com, which is malfunctioned. You have a lot of trojans, viruses, malwares running on that website. And if you are not using Cisco Umbrella, let's say, and you're not using any kind of firewall from home, because from home, do you think your company is going to provide you a separate
No.
firewall? No, never ever. So, so that's why Cisco came up with the solution. You just do need to do nothing, just provide their public IP for the DNS, which is Cisco Umbrella. You will hit that DNS, and then they will take care of these all things like Trojan, malware, deep inspections. And if there is any kind of issue, they will return back with a reply, or you will get the reply that this website is malfunction. Okay, so
Okay,
Cisco, they have the hardware appliance as well as the virtual environment. They have the hardware as well as the virtual. So since we were, hitting the DNS, so I thought this as a very good concept, because in the future you are going to get a lot of questions from the Cisco Umbrella as well. So any confusion?
So sorry, it's only Umbrella is specific to Cisco, Palo Alto, like their
No,
whatever.
it's specific to Cisco only.
Okay.
But on a Palo Alto, you can use the DNS information just by putting this, and then you will be redirected to the Cisco Umbrella.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Okay. So this is the simplest way you can do. But if you want to go a lot in detail, you can read about the Cisco Umbrella, which is basically giving you a web portal. From there, you can manage so many things. Okay. So this is a just complete one chapter in a Cisco.